here today. I'm having a class. Yes, I'm having a class. Microbiology it is. But I want to talk to you about the happenings here where the Secretary of State for the U.S. and by a long shot, the President of the U.S. Our friend Donald Trump. No, we're not going to call his name loudly, nor the other person. Oh, we can call J.D. Vance, but then the other one with the Tesla, we're not going to call his name very loudly. But Marco Rubio, man, he has he has issued a threat to us in the Caribbean. I am in Jamaica, and the threat to us is that persons higher up, the politicians and leaders, listen up. We know that you have employed Cuban doctors in your hospitals and in your private practices. So this is what we want you to do. You will revoke whatever work permit you have given to these persons. You will have to stop entertaining them. You'll have to stop using their services. That's what they're saying to us. We have to stop using their services because the U.S. is saying that Cuba is engaging in criminal activities in that they are engaged in forced labor, that these professionals who are serving Caricom or some countries of Caricom, medically, they have to do with a lot of eye surgeries. They are in the hospitals. But in Jamaica, yeah, they are linked to a lot of eye care surgeries. So the U.S. is saying, listen, cut ties with Cuba. No more Cuban doctors in your country, or else we are going to revoke your visas. Yes, they are going to revoke the visas of, I would say, hi Sam, hello, thumbs up done, thank you. Hi, thank you for coming in. We're talking about the USA and Cuba and the threat to revoke the visa. Hi Ray Star, hello. They are threatening, the US is threatening to revoke the visas of our persons in higher rank, I guess maybe our prime ministers, our speaker of the house, our member of parliament, all of those persons, yeah? They're threatening to revoke their visas because they want us to, hi Shoam official, they want us to, thank you, keep coming guys, yes, they want us to cut ties with Cuba. Cuba has over the years supplied us with, hi GZ, hello, thank you for coming. Yeah, Cuba has over the years supplied us, with doctors. In our country, we have a shortage of medical persons, doctors and nurses. Our hospitals are running on, what are our hospitals running on? You don't know what to call it. We are so understaffed that it is not funny. So the Cuban doctors, they are imported to help us in our medical industry. And they have been doing quite a good job. And here it is now that the Prime Minister, not Prime, they don't call them Prime Minister, the President of the US, because the directive must be coming from higher up. So the President, the Vice President, the Associated President, like Mr. Elon Musk, yeah, but more so Marco Rubio. He is the one who is in the hot seat. He is the one who had the task of coming to us and to say, listen up, you have to cut ties with Cuba. You can no longer use their services in your medical field. And if you continue to do so, we are going to revoke your visas and the visas of your children, your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your dog, your cat, your cows, your pigs, your chickens, and everything else that you love. Those visas will be revoked. So here is the situation now. If, as Caricom, as a territory, we decide that, hey, listen, we are going to stand together. Cuba is Jamaica's closest neighbors, all right? And we have special envoys to and fro. And if we say, hi Trina, how you doing, girl? Thanks for coming. Yeah, if we are gonna say, all right, to our closest allies, to our closest neighbor, if we are gonna say to them, open it. Open it. Hi, little one. Yeah, if we're gonna say to our closest allies, thank you, Trina. I'm good. What about you? I'm doing fine. I'm, trying to think about what is happening with us and the U.S. The U.S. wants us to cut tie with Cuba. And Cuba has been our good ally over the years. Our medical industry has benefited from their services. So Marco Rubio, he has issued a statement to us and other members of Caricom to say that, hey, listen, if you are using this category of persons, the doctors more so, then we will have to revoke your visa. So that is the first step, revocation of visas. All right, fair enough. So if our prime ministers and other politicians decide that, hey, look, all right then, for the good of our nation, we are going to forego our visas. All right, no more visa, no more traveling to the U.S., at least not under this regime. All right, if they decide that, hey, look, we are going to forego the visa for the good of our health sector, then, hey, what would be the repercussion? In my mind, I am thinking that if they don't get what they want, if the U.S. doesn't get what it wants, then it can go further. What about our tourism industry? How are they gonna, factor that in? Because if we are saying, okay, we need the Cuban doctors, then they're gonna say, okay, you're refusing to cut ties with Cuba. All right, we are going to put out a particular type of advisory that our citizens can no longer travel to Jamaica. It can be that. They can no longer travel to Jamaica. And then that is going to really hit us way below the belt because, for one, our tourism sector is really, really dependent on our tourists coming in from the U.S. That's where most of our tourists come from, whether by sea or by air. And so our tourism sector benefits. So what are we gonna say? All right, because it can be a situation where the leader said, all right then, we do benefit more in terms of earning dollars from our tourists. So they can decide that, all right, tourism brings us a lot of money. And then they're going to say, oh yeah, lives are saved, yeah, but when we look at the economic value, financial value, then we cannot afford to forego the monies from tourism, to shut down our tourism industry, so as to keep, what, 250, 60 doctors here. So let us, at least for a while, appease the US by revoking the work permit of the doctors who are here, and then whoever are being processed to come, let us say, listen, we have to forego that also. That could be the situation. But then, how humane that would have been, and how would the country, Jamaica, react to that? I think that would be cause for some civil type of unrest, because not many of us will be able to, digest the idea that, listen, we are squeezed between the rock and a hard place where we can choose to forego the services of the Cuban doctors. We can say, all right then, let these 50 doctors go. We have enough expertise here. We are not going to let any of our doctors, we are not going to give them any type of permit. We are not going to give them any type of licensing. We are going to have them bonded to the country for an extended period where they cannot go to the US to work. We can put in sanctions to say once you go to work in the US, then you can no longer come back to this country. Whatever type of things can be put in place. But then it's got to be a hard decision to make, because for the most persons in this country, we are not going to understand at all. No, we are not going to understand a decision taken to forego the doctors when our healthcare system is in shambles. No. And at the same time, the leaders might say, all right then, so we forego going to the US, and whatever family members we have, they're going to be targeted. But yes, this is part of what you sign up for. Love of country over self. This is what you signed up for. So, sorry, excuse me please, one would expect that you would have to forego your visa for the good of the nation. Don't you think? I think so. What's your thought on that? Sorry, I think this fan is affecting me a bit. So I guess I'll have to turn it somewhat. Give me a minute, please. Okay, so that's that. So I'm back. So I'm thinking, all right, that as our leaders, and where another country has presented us with such a difficult sanction, your visas, that of your loved ones, they will be revoked if you continue to use the services of Cuba. It has been a long time since the US and Cuba has been at loggerheads. A long time. Hi, my friend. Hey, the guitar. Welcome everyone. Thank you. Yes, thank you. I'm just, I'm in class right now. Yeah, but they're on a little break, so I am taking a little time to show you, or to discuss what's happening in our country and the route that we might be taking, and all of that. So this is what I am looking at today. Yeah, it's what the subject we're doing. It's microbiology, what's it? Introduction to Medical and Surgical Nursing, And you see, compiled by my name. Oh yeah, all right, that's me. That's me, all right, that's me. You see all those plumbing thing. I'm a busy woman, you know. I have to do a lot of things. Yeah, I'm a what? I want to be a feminine female, but these masculine things keep coming up, plumbing and all kind of stuff like that that I have to attend to. No, it's not me doing all of those things. I'm just joking. But I do a little bit of supervising. So back to the matter at hand. Trina, oh boy. Kevin, oh boy. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so the point I'm making is this. The leaders will have to choose their self and family. Visa or no visa. But a lot of us have no visa. I don't have a visa. So if I need to travel out of the country, it's someplace else. And then the US is actually revoking so many visas and all kind of deportation. Maybe if I was there, I would be deported also. I don't know. But leave that as it may. We're talking about now the cruelty, I think, of asking a country, a Caribbean country, to forego medical help for its citizens. I was watching a snippet of a broadcast this morning from the Prime Minister of Barbados. And she was saying, you know, she doesn't have medical persons in Barbados. But she stands strong with the rest of Caricom and whatever countries are being threatened. She will be first in line to say to the US government, you can have my visa. I am standing with my Caricom partners. She was very bold. Barbados was not called out by the US because, of course, they are not using Cuban doctors and nurses. They are strong as they are. But she says whenever they, you know, it was necessary to use any Cuban professional, that they were paid at a similar rate to any Barbadian. Yeah, to any Bayesian, not Barbadian, Bayesian, right, Barbadian, Bayesian, yeah. They were paid at the same rate, so there was no exploitation of labor. But the US is saying that it's exploitation of labor, it is forced labor, because when these persons go out of country to work, then they have to be feeding a communist type of regime. They didn't use the word, but we know that from many years ago, that was the tiff between the US and Cuba, the type of regime that Cuba has, as opposed to what the US would have liked. But then the Ukraine has similar type of regime as the US, and we all saw that interview when Minister Zelensky came to the Oval Office. We all saw what happened. And now, here they are now, the Caribbean as a bloc. You are trying now, the US is now trying to cause rift. Because when you put a country alongside an individual, then this is problematic. The Prime Minister, he serves the country, but then he also has a private personal life and his family and his kids. So when you are saying to this man, first, a man, secondly, a husband, thirdly, a father, fourthly, the leader of a country, all right? So when you are saying, oh, I am gonna revoke your visa and that of your loved ones, who probably have nothing to do with politics at all. Nothing. For all we know, they're probably pro-US, they're probably pro-Trump. They voted for it, for all we know. And here it is now, you're saying, we are gonna revoke the visa of your loved one. Make that make sense? If you don't revoke the work permit of these persons who are assisting in your healthcare sector. During COVID, these were the ones who served the entire Caribbean bloc. They stood, they rose to the cause, they stood. And you are saying now, because of your own selfishness, the US, you have your teeth, your grows, your teeth then with Cuba, and you are drawing the rest of us into your battle? No, man, fight your own battle with Cuba. You have been doing that for a very long time. And Cuba has stood its ground. You said, all right, you have stopped doing trade, doing business with us. You have stopped your citizens from visiting. You have affected us in a negative way. But over the years, we have learned to stand our ground. We have learned to stand for us. So now you're drawing the rest of the Caribbean into this mess. And you are threatening us that, listen, you have to sacrifice your healthcare system to appease us. That's what you're technically asking. You have to watch your citizens suffer medically to satisfy the way we feel about Cuba. This cannot be the way things should go. I am no politician, but this is not hard to understand in any way, shape, or form. No, it isn't. How? Because it's not just saying you can't have the Cuban doctors or nurses, you know. It's saying a whole sector of your economy will be negatively affected. If we can't offer, I'm seeing you in this, you know, if we can't offer good medical care to, or at least try to supply or provide our citizens with the best care, given the limited resources that we have, including human resources, then what are we going to do? The US has already been draining our country, Jamaica, of its intellectual and professional assets, our resources. Many of the doctors, not many, but a large amount of teachers, doctors, and nurses have migrated to the US. And why? Because the perks are better, working conditions are better. So they go. They have student loans to pay, so they go. The perks are better, the wages may be better, living conditions are better. They are able to buy a car, they are able to pay their rent, and all of that. So they go. And here it is now, you have already drained our system of our intellects, intellectuals and professionals. And now, when we sought to replenish the stock of professionals who have migrated or who have left us, then you decide now to underhand us again by saying, if you try to replenish your stock off, then you will be severely punished. What would I have done if I was the Prime Minister? I don't know, because I see the dilemma here. It's not about visa for myself and my family. No, it's not. It's not about that in any way, shape, nor form. No, it's about teaching us a lesson. I am big and strong, you are weak, you depend on us for so many things. So I am gonna show you how much of a daddy I am. Yeah. So I am gonna revoke your visas. So okay, fine. I said take the visa. You go with it. I don't need to have it. So take it. Then no. You said, all right then. You have given me the visa because you wish to keep your doctors and all of that. So I can say to my citizens, You can no longer travel to Jamaica. You can no longer travel. We are going to put an embargo on whatever goods are shipped, on trade, and tourism is trade. So there will be an embargo on that. And as stated earlier, many cruise ships do come to our port, and many tourists do come every week. So if American tourists are prevented from coming, are prevented from enjoying our beautiful country and the people by extension, then we are going to suffer. Yes, we are going to suffer. So the dilemma comes. Do I forego billions in US dollars to keep 50 Cuban doctors happy? Do I do that? Or do I say, all right, I do need the tourism sector to be up and running and functional. So I am gonna say to the Cubans, we can no longer do business. The public here in Jamaica would not see that level of reasoning. We, and even myself, would pretend that I don't understand the dynamics here. I would be saying, you, Mr. Prime Minister, you, Mr. Andrew Holness, and you, Juliet Holness, and you, Delroy Chuck, and you, Everall Warmington, and you, Kerencia Morrison, and you, Christopher Tufton. I'd be calling all the names. I would be saying to them, because you need to keep your US visa, you have sold the elf of our country for your personal visa. That's what I would be saying. I would pretend that I don't understand tourism. I would pretend that I don't. I would join the mass who is saying you have acted selfishly, and then the opposing party would have a field day. Not that they would have done anything different, or they could do anything different, but they would have had a field day. They would have had a field day. Stop it. The club tells them what to do because there is a script. Yes, and are playing the roles. Of course. Project 2021 was no secret. We have heard it so many times in the many debates coming up to the election in last November. So we can say big and bold, Project 2025, and all the things that were not said. So everything that is not going nicely, everything that we figure are intimidating or negative or not easy a medicine to swallow, or the medicine is not gonna have any therapeutic effect. All of that we are gonna put to Project 2025, because we're gonna say this is nothing new. This is not something overnight. They had how many years to plan all these things, to put all these negative things into operation. President Biden had lifted whatever ban they had on Cuba, and Cuba was positioning itself to be happy with citizens traveling to and fro. But no, that's cut short, because President Trump, within days of his coming into office, has revoked whatever President Biden had done as far as it comes to Cuba. So we are back at square one. We are back with Cuba being there and the US being there, and then now the US has thrown its net and has engulfed or trying to catch all of Caricom in that massive net. So we should be going up against Cuba. I don't know that is a good thing, but at the same time, can we sacrifice our tourism sector? Because me ain't no politician, you know. I ain't no politician. I ain't no politician. But hear me out. When the US decides to do something, they have thought about 10 different type of repercussion and has decided how they are going to deal with anyone that comes up. So, hello, love. Ah, you're sending me love from India. Thank you very much. And thank you all for staying with me. Welcome, 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 everybody. I am half babysitting today while I'm having a class, while I'm chatting with you. And my baby decided that he want to chat now. And that's fine. I guess it's going to be a news reporter or a journalist. So we understand that. So I'm back to the point at hand. So I am seeing a big picture here. A refusal to give up Cuba means sacrificing of the tourism sector. And sacrificing of any, no, Khalid, no. And sacrificing of many things that we do get from the US. We do have a good relationship with the US. Oh yes, we do. Yeah, we do have a good relationship with the US. So we have a good import-export system in place. We do trade labor. But then again, too, a lot of this will be stopped because even the farm workers, they are affected. They what? H1, the H1B2, what? H1B2, H1, H2, whatever category of visa these farm workers or these exchange students would have traveled on, there has been much argument about it. And as a matter of fact, whilst we're on it, and with the deportation, actual or threat of or perceived, then I get to understand that many of the farms aren't harvested. And many of the buildings are just left there because many of the persons in the construction industry were undocumented, and many of the farm workers were undocumented too. And then there is a cutback on the amount of persons going for farm work in the US. So I don't know what is happening. It's a mess all over. And then the US has created its own mess, and it is trying to drag us into. What is it that the US want from Jamaica? The days of us having bauxite to boast about, those days have been in decline many a moons. We don't have oil, we don't have gold as far as we know, except that maybe 2 years ago there was a big thing about gold being discovered somewhere else in the island, and that oil was discovered someplace else. But then I am to understand that no, the argument about oil, that's no, is that the part of the oceans that we can claim, that's too new, it's too young to have any amount of oil. It's too young. But then again, we are not the ones who are doing the drilling and the investigation of the waters. We are not the ones doing it. We still have to depend on the US. So what is it that they want from us? What is it that they know that we don't know? Guyana is already crying because, yes, they have discovered oil, but most of the proceeds is not theirs to keep. Most of the produce, yeah, the proceeds are not there to keep. And so they are crying foul. But what can they do? They don't have the expertise, they don't have the machinery. They have no knowledge of the oil industry. So they just have to go ahead with what is given. So the Caribbean is still under this captivity, this type of bushmaster, this kind of situation, a slavery kind of situation, and where if you revolt, then you pay the penalty. It is really, really aggravating. So I am here in Jamaica. I am very, 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 very much concerned. I scour the internet daily to find out what is happening in the US. I even start listening to these persons these psychics who have us today hearing and believing one thing, and the same psychic come back tomorrow and tells us another thing about the same topic. Today, Donald Trump will be unalive. Tomorrow, he will live for 100 years. The next time, he goes off from Mar-a-Lago in an ambulance. The next day, he is at some game or or some Super Bowl. So you don't know which way to go. It is frustrating. So I am sitting here in Kingston. The feeling in my mind is that something is unsettling. We know that all is not well because we do need the Cubans. Mia Mottley of Barbados, Prime Minister Mottley, she isn't using Cuban doctors. But then she's saying to us she's willing to stand as part of Caricom. She will be at the front of the line to say, hello, take my visa. I don't need it. Sorry. Can I have some water, please? Thank you. Yeah, Mia will be at the front of the line, standing up for the Caribbean. I am saying, you know, it was just was it last week Friday? The Prime Minister, Ralph Gonsalves of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, he was here in Jamaica, right? So they had a meeting about the matter. And Ralph is saying, take my US visa. But up to now, I have not heard my Prime Minister. We have not heard him addressing the matter and what position he thinks he might take. Maybe as myself, he is looking at the bigger picture. It's more than visa. It's more than visa. It's more, I think, on the U.S. want to say to its citizens, thank you, I am going to put a restriction on your travels to Jamaica. We need those monies that you are taking to go on vacation in Jamaica. We need that money. So we are going to put an embargo on travel. Okay, all right. I see. Okay, I will look at it. All right, yeah. Okay, I will look at it. Thank you. Water. Yeah, so maybe the U.S. does not want it, us to benefit from U.S. dollar earnings, the billions of dollars that our tourism sector make each year, the number of cruise ships that makes calls. So maybe they are striking a thing, the argument of, thank you. Oh yes, you can drop your links. Of course, why not? Maybe it's not about Cuban doctors and Cuba. No, it's not so bad. our 50 or 100 Cuban doctors here. Can't be no big thing that is making any significant impact on the economy in Cuba. I think that they want their citizens to stop coming here and that they find places within the US to be vacationing. It can be that. It could be that. Because I can't see how you would tie visas to labor from Cuba. Cuba and Jamaica enjoyed good relationship over time. So why now? Why now? This argument about labor exploitation that has been laid to rest many years ago. Even the Prime Minister of Barbados this morning spoke of that. And here it is, the serpent has again raised its ugly head. How are we going to get around this one? I am asking my Prime Minister, what route might you take? Yes, there has to be negotiation. There has to be a meeting with Marco Rubio. But I'm sure they would have anticipated that a meeting would have been called. They would have looked at this 1,000 times. And they would have known which way they're going to swing the meeting. In the same way, when they had invited President Zelensky to come, they knew exactly which way they're going to channel that discussion. They already knew. So whichever meeting that we are trying to call and whatever we think we're going to put on the board, they have already considered that. Don't you think so? I am believing so. Yes, I am believing so. So I don't know. Yes, the medical field, the medical industry, we do need the Cuban doctors. We have been having this type of exchange program for many years. I think that if this program needs to be changed, then it should be a decision taken amicably between Cuba and Jamaica, and by extension, whichever Caricom country will be affected. It should not be dictated by another country who is at loggerheads with Cuba. It's like 3 of us being friends and 2 of us decide that we're going to fight physically. And then we expect the 3rd person to take side. And then I'm going to say to the 3rd person, if you continue to be friends with the one with whom I fought, then we can no longer be friends. When you and I are the ones who decided that we could not resolve our differences. Also, why would Cuba? Jamaica sent a lot of persons to Cuba for training. And these persons have come back here to do very well. And even some of these persons are not even still here in Jamaica. Maybe if you check it, some of these persons who have benefited from the training in Cuba, maybe they are well sitting as Jamaican in the US. Giving, selling, sharing, trusting, giving for free whatever knowledge they gained in Cuba. So, I don't know. These politicians would have had a lot of experience dealing with matters like this, and I would like to believe that they would want to do the right thing for the country. But then, what is the right thing? What decision can they take that will be beneficial to the country? One that the population or the populace will be happy with. Sorry. What decision might be the best? Because clearly, it's a dilemma. We are stuck between a hard rock and a high place, or maybe two hard rocks. What decision can be taken? And the worst part is that we are in the election year. We are in the year where a general election is to be called. And the Prime Minister has to be very, very careful about which card he'll play. And the US knows this. The US very well knows this. But no. The US sorry about that. The US very well knows this. If he makes the wrong decision, then it can cost him the election. His rating has been down already. He's trying very much to build back a trust in the system and confidence in his regime or his policies. And then here it is now, he has been given a dagger to work with, a two-sided blade. So, as I said before, the opposing party is sitting and watching. And any move that the Prime Minister makes, the opposing party is going to come out and try to convince the nation that the Prime Minister did not act in the interest of the country. They will take him to task on that. So, Mr. Andrew Holness, Prime Minister Andrew Holness, I feel your pain. Bro God, I feel your pain. Any which way you turn, you will be at daggers. Oh yeah, it will be hard for you. For one, you're losing the medical persons. For two, you're going to lose your tourism sector. For three, you're going to lose the election. So which card do you pick? Which card do you play at this point in time? Are you going to go rogue? Right? Because you are going to say, okay, all right, I love my country, yes, but if I lose the election, I would still like to travel overseas. Okay, yes. If my children lose their visas or their citizenship is revoked, I don't know if they're citizens overseas, maybe they are. If their citizenship is cancelled and they're deported, like commoners to this country, my Prime Minister might say, oh, Jamaica is not a safe place for my kids to grow. And which school am I going to send them? Okay. All right. The US, all right, fine. I'm going to stay in opposition to what you ask. And I'm going to deflect my children. I'm going to send them to Mexico. Or I'm going to send them to Canada. Or, at worst case, I might just decide to send them to the Ukraine. Any of many decisions can be taken at any time. But this is a pertinent decision that our Prime Minister needs to take. He has to make and take a decision. He has to make his position known, and not his personal position whilst he is Prime Minister. It will have to be the good of the nation. And at this point in time, what is the good? Could you give me some thumbs up, please? Thank you. And welcome to the channel. My name is June. I am in Jamaica. Yes, you're listening to June Lewis, also goes by the name of The Listener. So I listen to hot topics and then I take them here for our discussion. Thank you for coming. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for being a part of my audience. I don't take it for granted that you have decided to spend the time with me. I'm enjoying your company too. I'm talking about the pending impasse between Jamaica and other members of Caricom with the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has hinted, or should I say an hint? He has advised us that they are considering, or they will be revoking the visas of our leaders and their loved ones. If Jamaica does not revoke the work permit of the medical doctors that we have in our system who are from Cuba. This is what the U.S. is asking us to do, to join them to war against our closest ally. Our closest ally, Cuba. Cuba and Jamaica has had a very, very good relationship over many years. We have traded resources for many years. The U.S. and Cuba, they have been at loggerheads for many decades. And now the U.S. is trying to bring members of Caricom into the war that they're having. And the way they are bringing us in is to join them against Cuba. Cuba being a part of the Caribbean. Yet the U.S. is asking members of the Caribbean to join them in their war against Cuba. That is not good. That is not good. And here it is now. It is a dilemma because we do need the doctors. The Prime Minister and his family and members of the governing party and members of parliament and political opponents, all that, they travel, they have their children overseas. Yeah, most of them, I guess, in the U.S. They are being threatened. Their visas are being threatened. But hey, look, many Jamaicans have had their visas revoked and had to ask for waivers and petitions and all of that. So if these persons' visas are revoked, it means then that whatever meetings that they would suppose they would or they should be attending in the U.S., they will not be able to. And their presence will, or their absence will be noted. And I guess the U.S. will have no shame in standing up and say, oh, the Caribbean has chosen to be in bed with Cuba, even though we have warned them that their visas will be revoked. They have continued to be wrapped in blankets with Cuba. And so we had no choice than to revoke their visas. But how revoking of the visa? What does this have to do with the medical need of a country? What does it have to do? You revoke my visa. I am a normal citizen of my country tomorrow. How does this affect our medical sector? How? I don't know how it is going to play out, because as I said, revoking of visa, this is not an issue. This is not even the issue here. You are saying stop using medical doctors. You could say, okay, if you don't stop using the medical doctors from Cuba, then we are going to stop our citizens from coming to Jamaica. You could have said that. And then we might have said, oh boy, we benefit more from tourism. We can look to other countries for professionals. So, all right, we're going to cut ties with Cuba. But is it fair? Not even fair. Is it morally correct to ask a country to join you? You're not even our closest ally. Yes, we have a good relationship. But you're asking me, a member of Caricom, to vote against Caricom? To vote against my own people? How? This can't be correct. No, not at all. It can't be. It shouldn't be. So, I'm saying, no. It should not be that way. It can't be that way. We are not going to enjoy it that way. When COVID-19 came, the president of the US gave some really bad interviews. He directed us badly, right? I remember at one time, he was giving his take on how to treat the virus and all of that, the coronavirus, and he was telling you something about using bleach to drink this and to whatever. I don't know. And now here he is asking us to avoid Cuba. Oh, Cuba stood with us during the time of need. Cuba stood with us. And for that we are grateful. And not only with Jamaica, but with many members of Caricom. So I don't know what decision is going to be good for our Prime Minister and other officials to take. Because, as I said, there is a general election that should be coming up soon, and he has to think very well. He has to convince the population that whatever decision he is taking is going to be in the best interest of the country. And might I say that many of us, we don't reason at the level that, we give our Prime Minister credit for not foregoing his visa. Not many of us are so enlightened to see beyond this old visa saga. This has nothing to do, in my opinion, with visa. It has to do with bringing us into a war against Cuba on the side of the US. So talking about putting visa with a country medical sector is it has to be studied. It has to be studied. 60 members of parliament. Consider that 120 if you may. Even put that to 200 persons in this country whose visas will be revoked, as against the 3.5 million of us who are living here. The many persons who need medical assistance on a daily basis, hourly basis. The amount of persons who benefit from the services of the Cuban doctors. It has to be studied. It has nothing to do with visa, because 200 visas being revoked against a country medical sector. How is the scale balanced? know the medical industry here. 200 visas there. It's diabolic. It's not working out. It needs to be studied. Somebody needs to wake me up and tell me of a fact that it is true. All right? Okay, thank you for coming. I really do appreciate you coming. I really appreciate you staying with me. My name is June. I am in Jamaica. And as always, it's always good to see you. So this is where I say my bye-bye for now. And I'll catch you again on another live. Thank you very much.